Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I want to talk with you today on hiatal hernia and what causes it to flare up, which is a really common question that I get. I've spoken on several occasions and written many blogs about hiatal hernia, so you can see in the link below links that will get you to the website and other YouTube videos so you can really get a good understanding. But I think what I really want to focus on today is that because a hiatal hernia is, here's your diaphragm, the muscle that ebbs and flows and moves up and down as we breathe, and then the stomach is on the right side of your body and it's pushing up when it's in spasm on that diaphragm, and it can actually protrude up into the esophagus, and that's the definition of a hiatal hernia. A hiatus is a hole and a hernia is something coming up through a hole, and in this case we're talking about the stomach doing that. And if you look online, very often they say you can have a hiatal hernia and have no symptoms, which might be true. However, what I really want to discuss is all the symptoms associated with a hiatal hernia that nobody ever talks about. And I do want to make sure we define our terms, because you can have the hiatal hernia as I just described, the frank coming up of the stomach through the diaphragm up into the esophagus. And you can also have what's called a sliding hiatal hernia. So it pushes up, but it goes back down. Or a subclinical hiatal hernia, which is the stomach is just really pushed up against that diaphragm. So it's not protruding through, but it's really in spasm and pushing up on the diaphragm. And the resultant effect is that that diaphragm cannot freely move as well as it should. And that's what I want to focus on, because sure, if your stomach's in spasm, it can cause acid reflux or GERD, heartburn. And that's absolutely the case, and definitely of the 15 symptoms associated that we've seen with hiatal hernia, those are definitely a part. However, what I want to discuss is the fact that you can get heart palpitations and shortness of breath, panic attacks, just a feeling of anxiety that comes upon you, and you kind of look around and go, what? Why, what's happening in my life right at this moment that I'm suddenly feeling anxious? And the answer is nothing, except as humans, when we suddenly feel anxious, we feel like, well, there's got to be something to be anxious about. Let me find it, and certainly we can typically find something. But when I really talk to patients about this, they'll be, yeah, I can just be sitting very calmly at home or at work, and really nothing's going on, and just boom, this feeling of anxiety. And ditto with the panic attack coming upon you suddenly, the shortness of breath, and the heart palpitations. So I see online a lot of people say, well, I got the drug, I got the antacid for my acid reflux, and I got a drug because my heart was beating too rapidly. They really couldn't find anything wrong with my heart, but they gave me a drug because the heart palpitations are scary. I mean, it is. If you've ever had them, all of a sudden your heart starts racing and you're like, what's wrong with you? And it really is a secondary effect to this stomach pushing up on the diaphragm. So why would that happen? Your nervous system is very, very sensitive to how much oxygen is coming in. And when that diaphragm can't freely move and you're not getting that nice exchange of oxygen, your nervous system gets on high alert. The heart says, well, let's pump more. Let's get more oxygen that way. Your hormones go into a little bit of sometimes not a little bit, a big bit. Your stress hormones have a response where they say, there's not getting enough oxygen, and what do we do? And that's where that feeling of anxiety and panic comes in, because obviously not enough oxygen is something that's going to get your body's attention. It gets your nervous system's attention, it gets your heart's attention, it gets your hormones' attention. There's nothing more primary than not enough oxygen, as I'm sure you can imagine. And so These are the symptoms that are not talked about, and when you look about, do I have a hiatal hernia and what symptoms might I expect, you'll really just see the digestive symptoms and that's it. And the problem with this, of course, is that this is the underlying root cause for so many people that we see. And of course, I want to talk about it so that more people will understand that it's affecting them, because these dangerous drugs that they're given are not getting to the root cause of the problem, obviously, when there's a digestive source at the root. And these drugs are dangerous, they have side effects, and it's just something we have to stop. We really have to increase awareness, which is why I do these. Now, I know you're gonna ask, okay, what do I do? This sounds like me. What's the one thing I should take? And I appreciate that question. And if there was one thing, I would tell you. But the reason somebody gets in this situation there can be a number of different reasons. One, that stomach's in spasm and pushing up on the diaphragm. Why? Typically, something you're eating is not suiting, and that can happen some days and not happen other days, so it can be very hard to discern what it is. I mean, if every time you drank milk, you got acid reflux and had heart palpitations, you would have figured it out by now. Unfortunately, with these food sensitivities, it's just not that precise, and you have to do some testing and really figure it out. So food sensitivities are really common. Sometimes infections in the stomach can happen. Imbalances of the good bacteria in the gut have moved up into the small intestinal area, creating a lot of gas and pressure, and that's pushing the stomach up. Somebody who's chronically constipated can do that. Sometimes, I've met young men with washboard stomachs that, are lifting a lot of weight, and it's that weight without enough support, and their stomach has pushed up. So it doesn't have to be somebody with a big belly with, no tone, although it could be. It can also be somebody in amazing, amazing shape. We've had professional athletes come in, and as I said, young men who are in great shape and have this problem. And I think about these people because I can't tell you how many lives have been ruined by this very solvable problem, because someone is so upset and thrown off by, suddenly I'll have a panic attack, suddenly I'm anxious, I don't know why, suddenly my heart starts racing, and they just can't live life because they're so upset about this, and they feel so unstable, and all of a sudden they're working from home instead of doing the job they were going to really want to do, and their social life is gone, and it's really, really debilitating for many, many people. And if it's not you, you likely know somebody who's suffering from this. So the solution is there's one other thing I wanted to mention, which is there can be a structural component. The diaphragm can ride high for a number of reasons, and that's where the physical therapy and chiropractic comes in. Also, the nerve that goes to the diaphragm comes from the base of the neck, so somebody can have neck pain and tension, and that can be a contributing source. So when someone says, what's the one thing I can do, I feel badly that I can't answer that question in all honesty with something that really works, because of course that would be great. It just doesn't work that way. It's personalized medicine, and if I had 10 people standing beside me that we'd diagnosed this problem and fixed it, they'd all have their own story to tell. There would be some common threads, but it's not identical. So we can help you find a doctor in your area who can assist. We are a destination clinic. We see people from all over the country, so happy to help. Reach out via the website, rootcausemedicalclinics.com, or give us a call. It's 408-733-0400. But please share this with those you know and love and care about who might really be affected by this, and it's getting completely misdiagnosed, which is sad because it's so easy to fix and it doesn't involve drugs. So I hope that was helpful. I've spoken many times. There's several videos about this, looking at different aspects. There are blogs about it, and those links will be in the description of the video. I'll see you soon.